Beautiful morning to you. Welcome to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. My name is Adu, and it's beautiful Wednesday morning, the 9th of June. Welcome to your number one show on personal finance and financial literature. Of course, brought to you in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics. And Nairametrics is your number one spot for news, business analysis, information, financial markets analysis, and a whole lot more. And you just go there and get the best of all of these by going to nairametrics.com. Speaking of nairametrics.com, I have with me here part of the money team. Let me just introduce them. I have Olumide Adeshina, who I call the finance man. Olumide, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, happy Wednesday, Adu. It's good to hear your voice. Yeah.
And also in the building today is Loretta. Loretta, good morning. How you doing? The money.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good to have both of you on the show with me today. And as always, if you have questions you want to ask Olumide or Loretta, please just send them to us on our WhatsApp platform. That's the station's platform is 0809 234 5913. And if you're part of the virtual audience, you can just leave it in the chat room and the questions will be attended to. Well, let's get straight into the order of the day. And as your guests will be, Olumide and Loretta, the first question here is related to the just enforced Twitter ban. So the question is, any chance that Nigeria will end the Twitter ban? My business is really suffering since the ban was placed. What are your thoughts on this, guys?
I personally believe that our government will be too callous to let this drag any longer, because it's causing, aside the general embarrassment on a global scale, because of how the story has been crafted. I'm saying that carefully. There's that part, but then there's also the economic implication of getting the millions of people that are on Twitter, they're using it for businesses and things like that. So I do not think it's going to linger. Personally, I don't see it going beyond a month if it does stay that long, but it's definitely not a permanent move. Yeah.
Okay, Olumide, do you want to add anything to it?
Well, personally, I feel that a lot of people should be a bit patient with the authority. Yes, if you look at the two cases, why it occurred and the impact. Yes, the impact, of course, is negative on businesses and especially the media industry that has so much exposure to information. There's so many information that a lot of Nigerians can't get access to. But it's not just the Nigerian case. This is cases prevalent even in India, Turkey, and China. Though we can say that they have more authoritative regimes, but I think the government is within their powers to do what they did. So, though some lawyers say there's no legality behind it, but I think government has met with U.S. envoys and other foreign dignitaries trying to bring a lasting solution to this. So my advice is just that people should take things, avoid saying things that will inflammate the system. We only have one Nigeria. So I think hitting the polity does not solve the means. We should be aware we should be careful and be aware of the things we say in public. That's all.
Thank you very much. Some updates though, they have insisted that until certain conditions are met, the ban will still definitely be enforced. Okay, so let's get into some more money related questions now. This is a person saying, I invested 500,000 Naira last June, and I have been consistently getting 75,000 Naira monthly. After much consultation, it seems the platform is questionable. Should I take my capital back, knowing the risk or the reward?
Okay. Very good question. I was trying to wonder what kind of business is giving you that return monthly. Yeah, that's over 15%, right? Monthly. That looks a bit questionable. So if it's not something that is regulated, well, this is what I would say: take your money immediately and shut down. But if it's something that has a form of legality, meaning that it has Security Exchange Commission regulation, or and is an investment bank product that has such exposure. Well, you talk to their customer care service. It usually happens when your platform becomes a bit buggy. But it remains to be seen what kind of investment is giving that kind of return monthly. So that's my own take.
I would say it depends on what you want. Always use that line. In that, for every investment you make, there is a certain level of risk, and then there's a certain level of return that you can take. So as an investor, if you have seen a Ponzi scheme and the Ponzi scheme looks enticing to you, and you feel that the potential reward is what the possibility of losing part of your cash, then because you've seen people that, they've told you MMM is bad, they've seen people, and then another one comes down and you still put your money in because, what you really want is something that will double your money overnight. So I feel now is a good time to reassess your investment mandates, right? You've seen that the returns have been stable. You can, if your style is to be conservative, you want to secure, you want to be safe with your money, then definitely pull it out before anything bad happens. But very bad advice, I guess, since they've told you it could be wrong. But I guess if you still want to earn those returns monthly, and you are not scared of the possibility of losing, or you do not mind, you are willing to take that risk, then you might as well wait it out and wait for it to crash.
The day it will crash may not be the day you have 1 billion inside.
Exactly. and that's what usually happens in Ponzi scheme. Most people don't understand.
Yeah.
What happens is that people get greedy. That's what happens, because if you leave exactly the same amount, there is a point where you break on, and there's a point where anything after that becomes your, just becomes your profit. So if you keep getting the 75,000 for 2 years, as long as you do not increase the amounts, you would cover it in no time. But then if you now get greedy, you now decide that, okay, I'm going to carry my school fees, I'm going to drop it here the next month. That's what happens. Everybody gets greedy, and then nobody wins at the end.
But Loretta, I think it's greed that will make somebody invest that actualized return monthly, knowing fully that no credible investment would really give you actualized investment. Most investment that turn out to come out with record gains are unexpected. And we can see that oftentimes people, most times, because of the emotion to greed, they get carried away. So it's like, don't taste something you can't smell. Don't smell something you can't afford to taste. So that's my advice. Because once you get that investment, you're already greedy. There's no way about it. Yeah, because you're already greedy already. Because you didn't consult your investment advisor. You didn't seek for counsel. You looked at the returns and you're outweighing your risk. And so I have little sympathy for kind of people like that, because we've always clamped down on people telling you that, see, goats are not planted on the road. It takes a lot. You understand? So when you see those kind of returns, the first thing you do is check, is it regulated? Is it suitable for you? And once you enter it, I tell you the truth, it's already too late, because see, these things work with your emotions. You get carried away. So at one point, you're going to go with the bandwagon. It's very few people that survive Ponzi scheme, very, very few. And usually the top of the pyramid. So at that top, you know how the pyramid looks like. So that top is like 1%. So most people bear the losses. And we've seen it in recent weeks. A lot of Nigerians wailing, crying on social media that they've lost so money. So please,
that's because you assume that the person is going to cry. In general, capitalism rests on the back of greed. So the reason your biggest capitalists are billionaires and they are making money is because they are greedy enough to keep wanting more, but they are consciously greedy about it. You hear that they are making more money, they are losing a lot of money, but they are still in it because what they want is to, make as much money as they can. So now that it's questionable, you now need to reassess what you want. Do you want to save? Are you going to be emotional if you lose this amount of money, or don't you care about the money? I'm saying you cannot just say, oh, you can for your safety, yes, but typically the worst that happens in with Ponzi schemes like this, I could be wrong, is that you lose all your money. So are you fine with losing all your money with the possibility that you make a lot more than it? Then you can stay, but it's fine. We don't need to argue on that on camera.
Okay. Let's go a little bit into the crypto space now. This person is asking, it says, what does Buffett invest in $500 million in a digital bank offering crypto products mean for cryptocurrency?
Okay, what really happened was that some hours ago, actually on Tuesday, New Bank, a Brazilian digital bank, one of the biggest digital investments, digital banks in the world, received investment from Berkshire Hathaway. That's Warren Buffett's holding company, and the company wants to use that fund for expansion into other South American markets like Colombia, Argentina, and so on. So it's a two-way thing for Bitcoin. First of all, Nubank has exposure in Bitcoin because they bought an investment, a fintech company called EasyVest, and that they offer investment advice and other things around Bitcoin ETF. So yes, it gives credence to the fact that Bitcoin is becoming mainstream. But Warren Buffett personally has said that this asset has no intrinsic value. It's something like rat poison, and he's never going to invest something directly into it. So that's just an example of somebody worth 109 billion that he sticks to his philosophy, you know. So the fact is that on the long term, it looks like Bitcoin is going mainstream. But personally, for Warren Buffett, he doesn't see that as he doesn't see investing directly in Bitcoin. So he's just looking more at the bank, you know, the exposure of the bank growing at the bank has millions of clients already, and they're offering very unique services. And, you know, Brazil being the biggest economy in South America, that would also diversify some income for the billionaire. So I think it's a very smart move. But for Bitcoin, it's just being mainstream right now.
Speaking of Bitcoin, just a couple of days ago, El Salvador, a South American country as well, made Bitcoin the legal tender. I think somebody also asked the question today. So, as El Salvador accepted Bitcoin as a legal tender in their country, what does it mean for the country? And also, what does it mean by implication on cryptocurrency in general?
Okay. Yeah, for the country, I think it's a big move. It's a symbolic move for Bitcoin users because that's the first country that is doing such. But I think in Salvador, it's going to encourage innovation around that asset, you know, something that a government gives credence to allow innovation around that. But I think in the crypto market, that's too early to say because Salvador, I don't think their economy is as big as Lagos State, for example. So, and it's just a pin in the ecosystem. And, you know, if you look at financial markets are governed by powerful macros. So we're waiting for what will happen in other events. But for the Central American country, yeah, it looks like a very good one for them. The government have also promised that profits from that asset will not be taxed, capital gains around that. So they're just trying to boost that crypto around the ecosystem and bring in possibly maybe fintech companies and things like that will come there. So for the country, I think it's a smart move. But for crypto market, I don't think it's going to shake anything because if you look at the price of Bitcoin right now, it's still swimming close to the bearish zone, and that's around $32,000 as we speak.
But don't you think that this move by El Salvador can, in the near future, create some kind of Bitcoin haven for people who perhaps want to escape, like for instance in the country?
It's a very tricky question, Adu, because you need to look at what a lot of people are using this asset for. You see, some days ago, the FBI announced that they recovered about $2.4 million from the hackers, and what these hackers used was Bitcoin as a form of payment. And you see, most of the fiscal and monetary officers have said that most people use crypto market for money laundering. So when you see bad actors getting caught and they use crypto exchanges, it weighs badly on the crypto market. So this is a two-way thing. I think most crypto coins will vanish off air. That's that's a fact because most of them don't have good fundamentals. But assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other and very few crypto assets would become utility and more stock value. But for Salvador, I think it would boost their economy in certain ways, yes. But safe haven, I doubt, because the G7 industrialized nations ministers are already looking at ways of tightening things around the crypto market, and you're already seeing that already. Former president, US president has called uh, Bitcoin a scam, and you could see that a lot of investors have already started reducing their exposure on that. So in the long term, yes, Bitcoin has a future, but I don't see things changing suddenly. The fiscal guys are waking up, to their jobs because trillions of dollars have been moved with Bitcoin without the supervision of banks. That's giving them sleepless nights, and they're trying to tighten those muscles.
All right, there you do have a point. You want to say something, Loretta?
About the safe haven part.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in a way, I think I think it's El Salvador could actually be a safe haven for crypto investors, particularly Nigerian crypto investors that are already tired of Nigeria and are looking for where they can have peace of mind to trade their cryptos. Yes,
okay.
Because I mean it just makes sense. So if you are heavily vested in cryptocurrency and Nigeria is giving you restrictions and Nigeria is stressing you, you can wake up one day and say, you know what, how about I put my exchange in of Salvador instead and things like that. So yes, I think that would be a possibility, and it's just a matter of time before people figure out that might as well make the switch. I could be wrong anyway.
Thank you very much, Loretta. If you are just joining us, you're listening to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM, brought to you in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics. And good news, this show is always on YouTube. After every episode, you can go back to YouTube and watch it again. Just go to youtube.com/Nairametrics or search for Nairametrics on YouTube and look for the Nairametrics channel, and you'll be able to watch the show again. But perhaps, because of time constraint, we can't really take all the questions, and you just want something a little bit more personalized, a little bit step-by-step guide into how you can make the best out of the money market, how to get investment done, what are the terms for holding, buying, selling, etc., etc. Nairametrics has a facility called the Stock Select newsletter. And what does that do? It gives you the insight, the analysis, the breakdowns, the forecasts that you need to be able to become a smart investor. So if you want to take advantage of that, all you need to do is subscribe. And to do that, go to ssn.nairametrics.com. You can get your subscription done there. ssn.nairametrics.com, and you can have your subscription done there. So that will help you to be able to make the most of the market, right? Let's take one more crypto, Olumide. This was from WhatsApp listeners. It says, good morning. Goat Moon Coin is being promoted by Mark Zuckerberg, and Mighty Dogecoin being promoted by Dogecoin. How true is it?
I didn't get that part. Yeah, you said Dogecoin promoted by Dogecoin, right?
Yeah, that's what the person wrote. Mighty Dogecoin being promoted.
The first one is false. The first one is false. So you should know that Mark Zuckerberg has no direct exposure. He hasn't announced. The closest he did was naming one of his favorite animals, Bitcoin, and that triggered news. But yes, he had always had an affinity for crypto, and that was when he opened Libra, if you remember, some years back. But the U.S. Congress and some politicians kicked against it, so I think he allowed that. So there's nothing around Dogecoin. Yeah, Dogecoin is created by Dogecoin, if that's what it means. But Dogecoin has what makes Dogecoin kind of very unique, even though it was created as a form joke to Bitcoin, was that it has powerful backers like Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, and many other leading populists. So yeah, the coin is moving, but we are already looking like almost entering the bearish trend. So there are pullbacks from record that has lost more than 80% of its value. Look at it from its record high, and it still looks like the sell-off is continuing. So that's basically what's happening.
All right, thank you, Olumide. Maybe you can help us with this. It says, what fixed income investments are available for retail investors to invest in?
Okay, fixed income investments, you have your, the regular money markets, treasury bills, you have federal government bonds, sometimes preferred stocks, and I would say, borrowing from Olumide's cue of you need to have money to invest, I would say most of them are available for retail investors as long as the retail investor has the right amount of capital to put in it. So the interest rates on these are not so good, and so it means you need to have a lot of money to go through it. So there are, all of these ones I've mentioned are available, but you could have certain restrictions. Have, for example, there are some bonds you would want to pay for, and they'll say, okay, the minimum investment amount is maybe 500,000 or something like that. So a retail investor that has money can pretty much invest in most of these fixed income investments. That's it. But I would say, again, as an advice, I always give people who are unsure of how the markets are, particularly because the money markets now, and generally fixed income investments now, well, some are doing good actually. It's for you to go to a fund manager. It could be a mutual fund, it could be a, real estate fund. Well, real estate no longer counts as fixed income. But the point is, if you go to your fund manager or a financial advisor and you say, okay, I want to invest in the fixed income market, and these are the kind of gains I would expect, or I expect. Well, you cannot dictate that, but at least you can say, I want to invest in the fixed income space. They'll be able to direct your capital based on how much you're willing to put down to the kind of assets that you can optimize, get the most value from.
Yeah. Let me just add to what Rosa said. For retail investors, just from low retail, it means your exposure, you have limited exposure, right? So it means your funds. You have limited amount of funds. You can't move funds like institutional investors. So your options are kind of limited. But investment banks, they do a lot of investment products around ETFs. They have funds, macro funds. So basically, the 30-year bond, for example, is really attracting a lot of people because it's really outperforming the Nigerian stock market as I speak to you. So just run to your investment banks, any regulated investment bank, they offer that services. But there are some that you don't even have access to, even if you have so much funds as a retail investor, because the Apex banned such investment products to people to have to encourage people to invest in this sector. So the best way you can do is invest in them indirectly. And how to do that indirectly? You do that through mutual funds and stuff like that have bond classes. So that's just all about it.
All right. One last question before we go. This person says, how can I determine what stocks to buy in the US market? What resources do you recommend that I use?
That's a very good one, but I think there's no foolproof to this, or there's no one-way traffic to this. But the first thing is that there are so many news out there that you can. Bloomberg, Morningstar, Wall Street Journal, those ones will give you things about exposure about US companies and what they are doing, investing, Yahoo Finance, and stuff like that. But second, you also need to have good liquidity, and that's capital, because if, for example, you're earning Naira, for example, it means that you convert $1,000 is just about 500,000 Naira. So you must have a suitable amount of funds. And I advise that you don't you try the market tiptoe strategy, meaning that you put bit by bit. Then you need to have a very good trading platform where you do analysis and stuff like that. That's for people that have that knowledge. Or if you think you don't really have such knowledge and stuff like that, well, a bank like Standard Chartered some months ago came on the show. They offer where they invest in this asset indirectly for people. And I'm happy to tell you that I have such investment and it's not doing bad. So you can walk into some of these banks that do these things indirectly for you. So it all depends on your sophistication, your risk, your skills. So if you have any of these, choose any of those options. But trust me, it's time to. I think it's time for people to start looking within, because the U.S. stock market seems to be pulling off, and you can see that the wealthiest guys are already selling some of their positions, and that already signals. Donald Trump even some days ago said that the U.S. stock market is very expensive. So you guys that have so much information can tell you this. I think you should just don't be too exposed to this market. So you have serious gains. Yeah.
I'll say that. There's still a place for regular fundamental analysis. Just the same way we analyze our Nigerian stock market. So look at, for you to know whether this stock is good enough for you to invest, do the fundamental analysis. So look at their EPS, check whether their dividends are okay, see their trends. It's still the same process of determining whether the stock is good enough for you to take your money, particularly if you're investing for the long term in. But hopefully, maybe, you never know, Nairametrics could also start offering Stock Select newsletter on foreign stocks, and then you'll be able to get all the, I kind of just threw them, threw it in their faces now. But yeah, maybe, you never know.
Maybe you never know. Anyway, thank you, Olumide. Thank you, Loretta, for being on the show today. Somebody was asking, though, on WhatsApp that now that we are not using Twitter for now, how would people get regular information from Nairametrics? Do they have to just go directly to the website, or is there a WhatsApp number or something people can get?
Yeah, we do. We have apart from the web portal, we have presence in almost other platforms. We on Twitter, on Telegram, on Instagram, you can always get information. Even on WhatsApp, we often print news feed. And the world is a global village. So apart, if Twitter shuts down, you can also go to Facebook and stuff like that. But I think probably the website is very simplified on mobile, user friendly. You can check so many information, markets, politics, and so much, and that's where I usually get most of my news from, Nairametrics. So I open on mobile. You have so many categories, depending on what you want to read, and most often times the news around the clock, so you don't get misinformed. And most of our information are data driven, if not all, So that's why Nairametrics is one of the best places to get information from. So I think the website is good to go for you. But if you are a social media enthusiast, then Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram. Yeah, Telegram, even sometimes you can ask questions, So it all depends on your other using the other social media. But we are also there. Yeah, we are there. And LinkedIn, we are also there on LinkedIn too. So I do.
All right. Thank you so much. Loretta, thank you guys. Do enjoy the rest of your week, and hope to see you guys on Wednesday next week.
Yeah. Bye, Adu.
All right, thank you.
Bye.